Welcome to Next Step Advanced Sketching Techniques. Today, students, we are going to sketch out a photorealistic Christmas morning opening present scene. All right, let's get started. First thing we're going to do is sketch out a Christmas tree. Christmas trees are started with an upside down V, and then we're just going to continue up by doing a lowercase l on both sides that is sideways, and then we're going to do another upside down V that's missing the bottom part, which in this case is the top part. We're going to connect that line from the sideways L to the upside down V that's missing the bottom, or should we say top. And we're going to continue with this pattern, and we want to make sure we match it exactly right. Continuing on. Then we're going to do a lowercase sideways I that's missing the dot. And what we can do, so we're not going to waste that dot, is just hide it right here. Christmas trees are going to have either an angel or a star on the top. We can draw an angel. So angels are going to have long flowing hair. Angels tend to have, if you hearken back to the 80s when women had the poofy bangs, angels tend to have the poofy bangs, and that's where that inspiration came from for that trend. Angels actually inspire a lot of trends, including the scantily clad floss bikini, what's known as the floss bikini, so it does not leave a lot to be desired. And then we're just going to draw the dress, and then the legs coming out here, and then of course an angel is going to have wings. There we go. And of course, all Christmas trees are going to have a stalk. And they're going to have a little pot or container of water. And this is where we can really work on our shading, because light's only going to be coming from one side of the room. You're not going to have lights from different sides. So in this step, we're going to make sure that we shade the water more on this side than the other side. Now this scene borrows from my memory, and you all certainly can borrow from your specific memories of your Christmas morning. What we're going to do is come over to this side, and we're going to draw a couch. The couch is going to be a lowercase I without the dot. We can also take this dot and hide it right here. And this lowercase I is going to be sideways. We're just going to do two squares. Squares have two equal sides. But these squares are going to be missing the top because we've already have those filled in. Then we're going to do a lowercase b that's missing the stalk. Put this into the couch, and then a flip. With respect to the vertical axis, we're going to do a flip lowercase b that's missing the stalk. Then we're going to come up and do a gentle open-faced square. Squares are going to have two equal sides. Then we're going to do a lowercase I, just the dots, and not the stalk part of the I. And these are going to be for the buttons of the couch. Now this particular Christmas morning is one I'll never forget. My grandmother's friend happened to be in attendance. And ears are going to be, they're going to always come in pairs. Ears certainly come in pairs. And pears come in the produce section. A little humor for you to start your sketching today, your advanced next step sketching. Now my grandmother's friend preferred to shave his hair, so we're going to do a series of dots. This is similar to the tap technique we've gone over, but he had this long, beautiful locks of jet black hair that he grew out in the back. And that's just the way he styled it. And I was always very, very jealous of this style. He had a double nipple, also called two nipples, which many of us have. And he had a big belly button. His belly button was wide open. It was a very wide hole for his belly button. And he loved to wear jean shorts. I wasn't allowed to wear jean shorts. I say jean shorts, I mean cut-off jeans. I will discipline myself later, and I'll also discipline myself for mispronouncing the word discipline. I don't mind disciplining my students either. If you're in need of some discipline, discipline can help you achieve your wildest dreams. All right, we're going to draw the feet, and we want to make sure we draw them to scale so they're not too big or not too small relative to my grandmother's friend. Feet are going to have 5 toes. The biggest toe is called the big toe, and it's going to be in the middle. I'm going to scoop this up so you can see. And toenails are just going to be the letter C, a lowercase c, as you can see. All right. And my grandmother's friend had very, very, very hairy legs. He was very hairy. I used to joke to myself in bed at night that my grandmother's friend probably ate his cereal with liquid testosterone. He was a man's man, and I tended to worship the ground he stood on. And we would always have our presents in a little pile. But of course, also in attendance this day was my grandmother. And my grandmother, as some of you might know, some of my students, some of my seasoned students, she wore a ghost costume. She wore this ghost costume everywhere she went, with very, very, very few exceptions. Kind of added an allure, a mystery. She could see because she cut out little eye holes in the ghost costume. And she could also breathe because she cut out a mouth hole. And she stitched in these holes with black mesh. My grandmother had beautiful long hair, and she would hairspray it up where it was rigid. You could bounce a piece of paper off of it. It was so hard, it was so rigid, and it was beautiful. And I am still envious of all things Grandma. Next, getting to one of my favorite parts, is going to be Grandma's legs. And notably, on Christmas morning, she wore her beautiful red glitter sequins slippers, which I still have and I've tried on from time to time. If I would have been able to wear these in high school, I suspect I would have been the most popular student in all of class, in all of the school. School, S-C-H-O-O-L, is just another word to describe a place where you learn. Grandma liked to have an oven mitt, or not an oven mitt, a mitten that she would keep her hand in, tucked into the ghost costume, just one of her little things that she did. And I added the ears here, just because it was Christmas morning and Grandma loved to hear tunes on Christmas morning. Certainly she did not have ears that came out of her ghost costume. All right, let's move on. Also in attendance on this day were Christmas lights. Christmas lights are going to be just large C's, or Big Mama C's, and then a reverse large Big Mama C. We'll do that again, a large C, follow along with me, and then a reverse Big Mama C. Large C, and then a reverse Big Mama C. Large C, and then a reverse C. Now, our brains are so sophisticated that we don't have to paint in color. Painting in color is kind of childish. It's kind of what the novice does. What we're going to do is allow the art taster to use their imagination. So what you can do, these are called leader lines. We're going to draw leader lines. And then at the end of this leader line, as you can see, it's got a gentle curve on the end. We're going to write the colors that we want the art taster to visualize. So this one blue. And this one, let's say this one's blue. And maybe this one is red. Now, Grandmother and Grandmother's friend had a lot of presents that they gave each other, and they were wrapped with beautiful bows in different size boxes, different size presents. Scoot that up so you can see. There were presents everywhere. They had presents coming out of their ears, coming out of their belly buttons. Notice how I'm giving the sense, or I'm providing a deception perspective 3D orientation due to the quantity of gifts that I am drawing. Also in attendance on this Christmas morning was yours truly. Every strand of my hair was accounted for, was perfectly parted. I took pride in my hair being so perfectly parted. If you can't get this right the first time, now I shaved my hair kind of as a homage to my grandmother's friend. Hence, we do the tap technique. And I did have eyebrows. There were some questions in the YouTube comments, and I certainly did have. I also had what we would call essentially a mustache. And we'll leave that at that. I had a mustache. Depends on how you define mustache. I don't want to get into an argument with some of the YouTube students. Students are supposed to really obey your teacher. Unfortunately, the clothes that I tended to wear were a little too small for yours truly. So a lot of times my belly button would show. But I did make sure that I always had a pair of my short shorts. I wore very short shorts. It's just something that I enjoy doing. It's something that made me feel just enough to cover my my particular unmentionables. They went just below that region, so they were just legal, as you would say. And then this morning, as all mornings, I wore my fancy sandals. Notice how I'm adding in, I'm kind of stitching in the toes here after I drew the sandal. That's a technique I picked up via a friend a while back. Elbows are just going to be the letter C. Now I had my hand on my hip. I can remember this morning very specifically because it was a disappointment posture. Because as my grandmother and my grandmother's friend had all these wonderful gifts for each other, my gift, my sole gift that day, and now looking back, I understand why this was given to me. It was to teach me modesty, and it was to teach me discipline. But it was a sugar substitute packet, like you put in your coffee, and it had a bow on it, and I still saved it. I saved it. At the time, I was a little disappointed. Certainly, I would not have revealed that emotion to my grandmother's friend, or my grandmother, who would have told or communicated to my grandmother's friend that, and then I would have been in for a world of hurt, of pain, literally. Of course, we're going to have a window, and outside of the window, we could draw some snow coming down. We never had a winter wonderland Christmas morning, did you? Let me know, I'd like to know. Now we can use our imaginations and draw some things maybe that I would have liked to have had. And I'm going to start by drawing a pair of these beautiful shoes, sandals, slippers that my grandmother had, because I always wanted a pair of these, and I never could get some, unfortunately. But fortunately, I have my imagination. I also asked for sticks this particular year because I like to play with sticks, and I wasn't able to get any. And actually, there was a new rule in the house, a no stick rule, and so I was unable to add any sticks to my. And I use sticks to create all sorts of toys, like exploration tools, and Barbies, and body exploration devices, all sorts of interesting, exploring the wild, exploring nature, and exploring the psyche. Continue by maybe drawing a toy train. Toy trains and real trains are going to be the exact same, just a toy train is going to be scaled down. trains are connected by, or I should say the train cars are actually not connected by any physical object. This is true for toys and for the real train. They're actually connected by magnet power. You can draw magnet power lines with a series of connected V's, which are tilted to the right about 45 degrees. And we'll add another. Actually, we should add the engine. The engine is going to run on diesel fuel, and it's going to have a chimney just like the ships of the Caribbean. We can draw the smoke coming up here. Speaking of smoke, my grandmother's friend did enjoy partaking in puffing a pipe. And pipes are going to be a sideways letter I without the dot. Notice that we can always stick our dot back and hide it somewhere else so we're not wasting it. Going back to the chimney, or to the pipe, I should say. And he's enjoying a Christmas morning wafer of his chimney smoke. All right, what else can we draw for our Christmas morning adventure? Well, why don't we add some pain lines? And these are emotion pain lines. We can't, one of the things I want to stress to my students is we can't draw sensations or emotion or any type of thing that you can't write or draw. We can't draw things that we can't draw on paper and with ink displacement devices. But what we can do, we can draw sadness lines. Sadness lines are going to almost look like a frown, but they're going to be connected. And maybe they kind of look like birds to some of you non-professional. And we can also draw emotion lines. And emotion lines just going to be slanted lines like this, similar to action lines, but a lot shorter, and they're going to be in series. And this was just at the time. Now, looking back, hindsight has told me that I should have been more appreciative this day. So I have regrets about that. Now, I have regrets for feeling this way. I never would have let them know that, because that I would have been in for a world of trouble. So this was a picture perfect morning. I think if you were to show this to anybody on the street, they would be hard pressed to be able to distinguish this from an actual high definition or ultra high definition photograph. It's just that I've been doing this for so long, it looks easy, but folks, it's not easy. I have the benefit of years and years and years of practice. Let's do a quick scan through. So there's yours truly on Christmas morning. A little sulking Sully. And there's a nice view of the window. I added the snow. And there's our beautiful Christmas tree with an angel on top. Angels inspired the 1980s bangs that all of the teenage women wore, teenage girls. There is a train, a toy train, just like the real thing. They use magnets, strong magnets, to connect the cars to each other. There actually is no connecting device. It's not like there's a string or tape holding them. There's just magnet power. And then there's my grandmother's friend. I learned so much from him and continue to learn, in hindsight, so much from him. And my cherished, dear, dear grandmother, who was in many ways mysterious, but in other ways super. Just a lovely person, a lovely woman, very sexual too. She's very sexually charged, and that made for interesting conversations at dinner time. And then, of course, all of the presents. My grandmother and my grandmother's friend got lots of wonderful presents. Well, there you have it, folks. A photorealistic Christmas morning opening present scene. And this particular scene borrows from my memory. As I always say, I do hope that you have a rest of your day.